That immigration reform bill being debated in the Senate seems to be the measure everyone loves to hate, with opponents on both sides of the aisle and a decided lack of public support. The bill picked up an important ally today, someone who knows what it's like to buck the odds. Congressional correspondent Major Garrett has the story.
A lot of credit goes to our
Mississippi Republican Trent Lott, who defied the odds and returned to power after being dumped 4 years ago as majority leader, is now plotting an equally improbable resurrection, saving the Senate's star-crossed immigration bill. Lott, the party's number 2 Senate leader, took over a closed-door GOP immigration meeting today, imploring colleagues to ignore the polls and back the hard-fought bipartisan compromise. Lott told Fox why.
We've got to do this. If you just weigh the polls and if you back away from it because it's difficult, why are we here but to try to address a major issue like this?
Lott knows party activists dislike the bill's grant of temporary legal status to 12 million illegals here now, and he said a flood of angry phone calls, emails, and internet denunciations have left many Senate Republicans spooked.
I think if we made any mistake, it was not aggressively getting out there and explaining the good that we had achieved. But, politically, it's not easy.
The first national poll shows only 26% support the immigration compromise. 48% oppose it, 26% aren't sure. Opposition crosses party lines, with half of Democrats and just under half of Republicans and independents opposed. The plan's biggest problem? Voters doubt border security will, as compromise supporters promise, actually precede creation of a guest worker program and other pro-immigrant reforms.
I think that's a critical point. I think it is a significant point. People want to know that we are going to secure our borders.
The poll shows 72% consider border security very important, a priority of nearly 90% of Republicans and 2/3 of Democrats and independents. Less than a third identified legalizing illegals here now as a top priority. Among those, Democrats placed the highest emphasis on legalization. The bill's temporary worker program, as expected, was slashed in half today from $400,000 a year to $200,000. Also removed an escalator allowing the number of guest workers to rise based on labor demand. The lopsided vote represented the biggest challenge yet to the so-called Grand Compromise. Other challenges await. Democrats will push to increase so-called chain migration so more family members can enter the country.
The deal struck virtually does away with the provision for family reunification, which has been the bedrock of our immigration policy throughout our history.
Republicans will press for tighter triggers. That's legislative lingo for mechanisms designed to guarantee that border security actually comes first. One GOP skeptic called today's immigration triggers an insult to yesteryear's most famous TV trigger.
I think if Roy Rogers were here today, and he's been dead about 20 years, he'd say, boys, saddle up. There's going to be a rough ride ahead for us.
First, there's nothing quite like a breeze in springtime in Washington. The depth of Republican revulsion over this bill really can't be overstated. In a private meeting last night, the House Minority Leader, John Boehner, called this bill a piece of S, a 4-letter word that I can't repeat on this network, not if I want to keep my job. Boehner aides said he said that in a joking manner. The reality is many Republicans consider this bill a joke and not a very good one. Britt.
Major, thank you. That battle in the Senate over immigration legislation seems mild compared to the fight in Arizona between state GOP conservatives and Arizona's 2 Republican senators, John McCain and John Kyle. Correspondent William Lajeunesse reports.
Now, you lie to me as a mother, you lie and destroy the future of our kids, you don't get a second chance.
Earlier this week, angry voters protested outside Senator Kyle's Arizona office. And at state GOP headquarters Wednesday, this Air Force veteran and lifelong Republican quit the party, turned in his voter ID card, and re-registered independent.
John Kyle has betrayed the American people, he's betrayed the voters of Arizona, and he's betraying his country.
We had people coming in here basically dropping off their registration cards saying, I'm not a Republican anymore.
State Party Chairman Randy Pullen broke ranks with Senators McCain and Kyle publicly Monday, criticizing the immigration bill at a press conference and holding up this letter featuring a prominent middle finger, which he called characteristic of the feelings of the GOP base.
Essentially, they're saying, I'm not going to donate any more money to the Republican Party. I'm going to change my registration. It's just mostly negative. It's probably 100-to-1 negative opposing this bill.
We have absurd conduct by a small handful of people.
Other Republicans say the party is being hijacked by a vocal minority and that the chairman's actions are way out of line.
Reprehensible, unconscionable, unprecedented. He is doing everything he possibly can within his power to destroy the Republican Party in Arizona.
I believe in Senator Kyle, and what I have seen so far does not betray anything that he has said before.
Arizona sees more illegal immigration than California, Texas, and New Mexico combined. But there's a fear today that this fight will spread nationally, hurting the GOP's ability to raise money and organize in the run-up to next year's election. In fact, in the last few hours, Chairman Pullen's staff received a phone call from the Republican National Committee to, quote, shut up. It calls to mind Ronald Reagan's so-called 11th Amendment. Thou shalt not speak ill of any fellow Republican. In Phoenix, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.